I'm Philip Hundl. I'm an attorney in Texas. My practice focuses on representing landowners facing eminent domain proceedings or are involved in land partitions. Focusing on land partitions, we talked about some of the initial or earlier steps. Now I'd like to go into if the land is not heirs property. Okay, if the land is not heirs property, then petitions filed. There's this, the other side answers. One of the one or more of the co-owners are plaintiffs. They file suit against the other co-owners. All co-owners need to be involved in the suit. The court is going to make sure that all necessary parties are involved, which means all co-owners. And those other co-owners will be defendants. Oftentimes you'll see the defendants file counterclaims against the plaintiffs, and so really essentially you have everybody with their own claims for partition. It's a two-step process, I always say. There's a first trial and then there's a second trial. I have a kind of a roadmap of partitions on my website, and I'll direct you all to that. There'll be a link in the video for you to access that step-by-step form, and I think it's very helpful. But once petition is filed, ultimately there will be the first trial. Now, in between the petition being filed and the first trial, there can be, just like any other civil litigation, discovery conducted, depositions taken, experts hired by each party, and then at that first trial, the court does a few things. The court determines whether the land can be partitioned or not. If it can, and typically if it's more than several acres and there's not significant improvements on a very small tract of land, the court will determine typically that it can be partitioned in kind, so the land can be divided amongst the co-owners. And let's also remember this too. Even if you have, let's just say you have 4 co-owners, each one 25, 25, 25, that doesn't mean that the land has to be divided 4 ways. If 3 of the co-owners say we want all our property to remain in the undivided interest, then the court, then what's being requested is a 25-75 split. And that's not uncommon, and I've had several of those as well. At that first hearing also, or trial, you're asking the court to essentially, court declare judicially that this is the ownership of all, determine the specific ownership of the various parties. Sometimes that's really easy, cut and dry. Sometimes not. Sometimes there's multiple tracts and the ownerships vary with different tracts from different counties, and you can have multiple counties, multiple tracts from multiple counties involved. Where is venue proper? That particular partition case can be filed in any one of those counties, and so that's something to consider. The court would also give some special instructions if the court determines it's necessary, or that it wants to, or that it's been requested, to give special instructions to the special commissioners. Also, the court may appoint a surveyor, and we're talking about, this is the standard non-heir partition, Chapter 23. And then also, are there any offsets or credits to be given to any particular parties because of what they've done with the land, either improving the land or paying off certain taxes or things like that. And so before, I think we said in an earlier video, if someone has built a road or a barn on the property and they actually want some credit for that toward, in addition to their 25% interest, for using our example, then that's what you would ask the court to do. And the court would do that at that first hearing. And the court, very importantly, would appoint special commissioners at that first hearing. And then shortly thereafter, the special commissioners would receive a writ of partition so that they would begin, they would get served with, or provided a copy of the order of the court making that determination if the land can be partitioned, and that they've been appointed as commissioners, special commissioners for this partition. So hopefully that's helpful. We're getting kind of deep into the partition proceedings, so hopefully this is helpful.